The great English country houses were not just palaces for the aristocracy, they were entire social systems in which everyone had a role to play. A house as grand as Downton Abbey was a well-oiled machine. Everything had to be done like clockwork. Everyone knew exactly where they had to be and when, in order that everything worked as it should. And all of it began at 5:15 in the morning, when the scullery maid woke up.
She would get up before anyone else in the house, and one of her roles was to wake everyone else up.
Every morning, up the servants' staircase would come the scullery maid, carrying 2 huge hods of coal, stoke up the fire and bring it to life. Family would wake up in warmth. She'd woken up in the cold.
And they're off.
No rest for the wicked.
The personal valets and ladies' maids were the family's alarm clock. They'd start the day with opening the curtains and giving them a nice cup of tea.
It seems rather shocking for Anna to have to find me en déshabillé.
I'm made of stout stuff, sir. Don't worry about that.
In Anna's case, Lady Mary rings first thing in the morning. Anna will have already had breakfast. Anna will have got her clothes prepared for the day.
And they would maybe decide between them what they were wearing, depending on where she was going or the activities of the day. Goodness, the York and Ainsty are holding a point-to-point accounting for Grange on Saturday.
After a long soak in the bath at 8, being dressed by his valet at 8:15, Lord Grantham would come down the grand staircase at exactly 8:30. Waiting for him downstairs in the dining room would be eggs, bacon, kedgeree, everything you could imagine. And all he had to do was to read the newspaper and enjoy his post. It was a delicious way to start the day.
Morning, Carson.
Good morning, my lord.
A normal day would involve, after breakfast, going through all the letters and bills and various meetings. He'd love to go for a walk with his dog.
Of course, Lord Grantham would largely be oblivious to the engine room below stairs. The absolutely frantic life of what goes on below stairs gives you a sense of what went into making a house like this actually work.
Have you laid the servants all breakfast?
Yes, Mrs. Fatmore.
And finished blocking that stove?
Yes, Mrs. Fatmore.
When we ever rehearsed a kitchen scene, the first question would always be, what time is it? That would dictate the speed, always. Because if we're about to serve, then it would be manic.
No, not like that.
There was a massive community living here, not just the family upstairs. They all needed to be fed. They needed wood and coal brought in, the stuff from the farm, all of it prepared here in order to make sure that for those upstairs, it was a blissful life of perfection.
Been a happy day, Robert. Let's end on a happy note.
The lady of the house would be in charge of the overall ambience, with the application of graceful touches rather than practical know-how.
Lady Grantham, this is so kind of you.
Not at all, Duke. I'm delighted you could spare the time.
I think we'll go through. I don't think Cora knows the first thing about cooking or kitchen management. She would be probably totally shocked by the detail of what the production of an actual meal requires. So she's a total innocent.
Robert, come quickly.
What is it? Apparently the oven's broken down.
It can't have done. What does that mean?
To cut a long story short, it means we have no food.
I think Robert is fairly ignorant about how the cogs turn. I think it's very true to say that the butler knows more than the master of the house about how that house operates.
My lord, I wonder if I could have a word.
Can't it wait?
No, my lord, it can't. Carson is the link, obviously, because he's the one who moves most freely between upstairs and downstairs. He's the captain of the ship, really. Our job as staff is to make life upstairs perfect. We're stage managers. The show takes place upstairs. We do our job backstage.
And action.
There's no better example of the stage management of daily life above stairs than the ritual of afternoon tea. Tea was an incredibly important part of the day because it made a place where they could stop as a family between luncheon, which had finished at about 2, and they don't dine until 8:30, effectively. And it meant for the household staff, the family were all here which meant that the maids could go and clean out all the other rooms. They had the run of the house, and they knew they wouldn't be disturbed, or that they would not disturb the family. What's bothering me at the moment, with a guardsman's eye, is that this table is not absolutely central to that fireplace, which means that the symmetry between the two sofas and this is not achieved. And the whole dignity of this theatre is that things like that were attended to with precision. There should be a line that runs from here straight to the centre of the fireplace, with cutting this right in half. 1, 2, 3. Is that enough? A bit more?
Thank you very much. Here we go. Full rehearsal. Action.
Carson, you shouldn't have to do that. Where are the footmen? That is something I need to discuss with you, my lord.
It is absolutely not normal for the butler to bring in tea, and that is why it is noticed and acknowledged by the family immediately. The family notice any change to the rigid structure of this household process. It's all done meticulously to time. Tea is brought in at bing, 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 5 o'clock. And the whole house knows that. Anyone who's late for tea is in terrible trouble.
Oh, lovely.
Interestingly, people drank tea differently below stairs than they did above. Below stairs, they put the milk in first, whereas above stairs, they put it in second. Now, the theory goes that because below stairs, the china was of an inferior quality, by putting the milk in first, you protected it from cracking when you poured in the hot tea.
Can you put my milk in first, if that's for me?
Precision and punctuality were essential to the smooth running of a house like Downton Abbey.
We ought to be heading off if we're to be back before the gong.
The evening ritual was ruled by the dressing gong. It was what made sure everybody knew what was happening. And at precisely 7 o'clock, Carson would come and, with the sonorous sound of the gong, alert everybody from the top of the house right down into the basement. Now was time to get ready for dinner.
Has the gong been rung yet?
Just.
The gong rules the day, really. There's a dressing gong to tell people when to go upstairs to get dressed. There's a dinner gong to tell them when to sort of come in for dinner.
Anna.
That's the gong.
Everything is ruled on a strict timetable, so we're run by times, timetables, bells and gongs.
Perhaps the most iconic emblem of Downton Abbey is the bellboard. And it is a symbol of the incredible work that connected what was required upstairs to the staff in its huge number down here below. And the footman would stand here and keep eye over the whole thing. And he'd have all the information of who need what and at what time.
Take care of that, thank you.
Everything was here. It was the school notice board for the staff. And regularly people would come and check. And for instance, if the bedroom went at Mercia like that, he would know who was in it, find the relevant lady's maid, send her rushing up those stairs with whatever was required to be dressed in. And it was an endless round of work, and it never stopped.
Her ladyship's ringing.